For the past month I have been using an old novel as my sketchbook. Today I will give you a sketchbook tour of it. I'll share with you what kind of materials I have been using, and then I'll talk a bit about what I have learned from drawing in a book full of letters. Welcome everyone. Here we have it, a novel by Wilbur Smith called When the Lion Feeds, which I have turned into my sketchbook during June. And I must say it was quite a fun thing to do. Let's see how it looks inside. The first section here was observations I did on a ferry trip. And on this point, I spent some time getting warmed up, trying to get to know the format. And at first it seemed odd and a bit annoying to draw in because of the letters. But actually I quickly found out that markers and fineliners worked quite well here because they shine through the letters. And I noticed that after a while I started to be able to be less distracted by the letters and somehow enjoy the letters. And this drawing here was an experiment with pencil. I listened to a podcast. And this is a fine combination of fineliner and a light blue marker. We sat in the dog section at the end of the ferry trip, and I love drawing dogs. This one I barely finished the eyes before it moved, so that's why it looked so weird. I had to do the rest by imagination. And here we arrived to Bornholm. And I drew some more animals, this time some sheep. You can tell that I start to loosen up a bit here, changing the format. And we have an imaginative drawing up here in the corner that starts to come up just by coincidence. And as you could tell, I really love to experiment when I draw, especially in my sketchbooks. This is a space for me where I'm allowed to do anything basically. But as many of you know, I like to do observational drawings because this is where I mainly get my inspiration. And watercolors work also really well in this old book, surprisingly enough. I used a CD marker here and the light blue alcoholic marker. And I think that basically this whole thing in drawing this book shows you that you can draw with anything. I'm also combining pencil and marker here. You have this room to experiment. We have some poppies here. Beautiful flower. And here I start to play a bit with the words also, because you have all these words from the book which you can play around with. We have some swallow studies here, and as you can tell, they kind of bleed through to the other pages, which is actually kind of an accident, but it gives a nice touch to it, I think. And if you don't like the bleeding through, you can just flip a page or two, and then you have a whole new canvas. For these ones, I just used a simple ballpoint pen and then some watercolor or some kids crayons actually. A highlighter has been used here to add some color. And then we have some more imaginative drawings sneaking in here. And just about using this book, I found this book at a recycle station, and I was on summer vacation, and my other sketchbook had no more spare pages in it. So I thought, why not try this out? And the good thing about drawing in a book is, well, first of all, it's cheap. I got this for free, and all you need is materials, and as you can tell, you only need a pencil or a ballpoint pen, and then you're ready to go. And the other thing I want to highlight from the process is audacity. Having drawn in this book, and maybe you also tell, as I progress, I become more free and confident in drawing, and start to compose the drawings in double spreads. And I think it's because of these letters that they allow me to be more carefree in my drawing, you could say, to experiment even more than what I regularly do. And the third thing is the range of materials that you can use. I'm sure you can find old books which has even better paper quality than this one. But as we have seen, I can draw with almost anything and use watercolors. And I'm sure acrylic paint would work quite well also. The only thing you have to keep in mind is when using bigger markers, the drawings will most likely bleed through. But as I've mentioned, you can just flip a page and then you have a whole new canvas. Here we have some sketches I did while watching a television show, which is very popular in Denmark. It's about hunting and cooking. We have a bit of cartoonish drawings here, and another blackbird. This was a really fun thing to draw, a blackbird. I actually saw this blackbird finding 3 worms and eating those 3 worms. Summer reading. Here I did some also cartoonish sketches of people that I actually saw in the supermarket, like the drawings here were based on them. Some abstractions. And that was actually all for this book. The final thing that I did here was to play with words. The book is, as I've said, packed with words and sentences. And when picking up this book, I found it quite intriguing to flip through and ponder a bit, because this could have been any book. It's a mere coincidence that I found this book. And I don't know if it's just me or if you can relate to that, but I find that a bit intriguing to find this book by coincidence. And I tried to experiment by crossing out several words here and thereby creating a small poem, if you will. As an illustrator, I also work with words and how drawings interact with words. So for me, this was really fun to focus more on the written word. I've been cutting out the words and reassembling them. And in a way, I think there's a hint of Dadaism to this way of working with coincidences. And let me just read the poem that I made out of coincidences aloud here. The days went by in a majestic circle. To walk into the darkness of the papyrus protecting tunnels, feel the spongy swamp grass beneath one's feet, an owl. The foot of a thorn tree relieved the fever mist for a while. No idea to judge the height of the sun. Golden brown grass moved in red, yellow and green, hissed through the air, ignored fractions of a second, in a shower of sparks. So this is something you can try also to do. Cut up some words and try to reassemble them in a new way so that your story or your poem has a whole new meaning to them. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this little sketchbook tour here and got some inspiration on how you can start drawing in an old novel. Please remember to subscribe to this channel or share it with your friends and your neighbors and your dogs and your parents and your grandparents and everyone else. Until next time, have fun drawing.